video interview, we're having a look at speaking self-forgiveness out loud in assisting and supporting oneself in sounding self-forgiveness. Now, this is particularly, specifically process support for those speaking self-forgiveness out loud for the first time. And it is the process of writing self-forgiveness is the process of writing and walking the actual blueprint of the structure of the system that one is facing within oneself as a mind consciousness system. And the sounding of self-forgiveness and speaking it out loud for self is the release of the substance, the energy, the crystals, the connections, the interrelations and dimensions of the whole system within self. Therefore, in terms of walking self-forgiveness, it is suggested to write it and speak it as the total process of assisting and supporting oneself in walking that system manifestation out of self in the human physical body, so as to more effectively assist and support self in one's process of self-corrective application. Now, obviously, in terms of, for example, why is this? If one have a look within writing it out is simply still only structural. You're structurally walking it out within yourself as the actual process of writing. You're at the same time as you're writing the words, you are writing out the structure, the blueprint, the design of the total system that you are facing in walking out of you through self-forgiveness. And at the same time within that process, you're walking it out, you're coming to realizations, insights, understandings. And now to substantiate that walking out of the system as yourself in terms of its structure and its design and its manifestation, speaking it out loud will assist and support with releasing the substance, which is the energy or the dimensions or relationships that substantiated, that manifested that system into being. Because the sounding, the speaking, your voice is the actual stand of yourself, where you're within the self-forgiveness making the statement that I release the energy, the relationships, the substance that manifested the system, and I am taking my place within me, within my human physical body in relation to this point, to be able to be aware as me with my human physical body in how I live, to no more accept and allow this energy, these relationships, these networks, that which substantiated the system to take over, to possess, to direct me, to control me. I make this decision to stand with me, by me, in my human physical body and assist and support me to change myself and my living through practical application to in fact become the directive principle of me in my human physical body and my world, that's the statement that you're making as you are walking the sounding of self-forgiveness and walking self-forgiveness out loud. Resonantly, that is the statement you're making in walking your self-forgiveness effectively out loud. So therefore, when walking self-forgiveness, we suggest do the writing as well as out loud, because you are walking to different dimensions of a system and yourself in writing it and speaking it. Writing it, you're releasing the structure, the design, the construct, the system. In speaking it, you are with the sound of yourself as your voice, as your stand, taking in the position within your human physical body resonantly to effectively prepare yourself in when you're doing your self-corrective application to be able to stop the thoughts, the back chat, the reactions that come up, because you've applied your self-forgiveness, you've written it out, you've spoken it out, and your stand within you is so the more effective and can thus walk through the system that comes up change yourself in a moment of practical application and direct your actual physical movements, your voice, your beingness towards something or someone, from mind participation to self-directive living. So with the sounding of self-forgiveness, when you're saying a statement out loud, once you've written it, like for example, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to react in anger when my mother asked me to wash the dishes. In speaking a statement, and one is actually speaking it within realization, within release, within taking responsibility, it will be a natural speaking of the words. It will be comfortable, it will be stable, and it will be here. Exactly like I just spoke the statement. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to react in anger when my mother asked me to wash the dishes. And again, it's not a droning of speaking self-forgiveness. It must be an actual self-forgiveness. You are actually forgiving yourself in releasing yourself from that reaction within facing that point with another being in your world. But at the same time, your tonality is stable, your body is comfortable, and your statement is directive, it is certain. It is really, I forgive myself for accepting and allowing myself to react in anger when my mother asked me to wash the dishes. In that very moment of speaking it out loud and sounding it, you are realizing what you've accepted and allowed in that moment. It's like in the statement you'll see, as you're speaking it out loud, how futile and unnecessary such a reaction is. And at the same time you'll see within that one statement how you have unnecessarily hampered a relationship with your mother, how that moment could have just changed to you washing the dishes, a practical point, how in that moment of assisting and supporting yourself in doing the dishes, you're assisting and supporting your mother, you're assisting and supporting your whole family. It's a practical point that requires to be done. Your mother might have really been busy and you weren't particularly doing anything, but wanted to go and listen to music, and so didn't consider another being's situation, yourself, your time, what is practical, what is required to be done. All those realizations can come up within one statement of sounding the words effectively as self. So if and as you apply your self-forgiveness, and there's like voice tonality differentiations, and your voice is cracking, or your body goes into reaction like pain or uncomfortability as you're speaking it, and it will mainly happen at the back of your human physical body, by the neck area will go stiff, especially the center of your back. Then what is showing within your human physical body is that you hadn't looked at that point you're forgiving effectively enough. So if you go, for example, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to react in anger towards my mother when she asked me to wash the dishes. I mean, okay, obviously I've over accentuated it a bit, but it's just an example of different physical experiences that you'll go through within applying the statement, or sighings, or emotion and feeling within it, and like not wanting to do the statement because you still want to blame your mother. So really be aware and be self-honest of such changes that happen within your human physical body, your tonality, your sighings, your changes and things like that. It's simply indications that there's a point within it you hadn't looked at. So using that example, then one can go have a look at, okay, my self-forgiveness has shown that I still want to blame my mother. So then do your writing of how and why it is that you're wanting to blame your mother, and then you'll, for example, realize in your writings that it's just all a manipulation because you just wanted to go and listen to music and you just didn't want to do dishes. And then do your self-corrective application of when someone asks to do something, consider the family, the whole situation in the home, let go of personal wants, needs and desires, and assert your living to what's best for all. What's best for all is best for self. I mean, if you wash your dishes, you're going to have clean dishes. You're going to have interaction with your mother that is stable, that is clear, and that is here. And her experience of herself will then be more expressive with the rest of the family, and so the whole situation changes just by you changing your starting point in approaching dishes. Alright, so this is simply a beginner's point in terms of walking your self-forgiveness out loud for yourself, in checking your voice tonality, your physical body reactions, and changes in the very sentence itself that will always give you an indication of where you need to do more writing, look more into. And then you go back to the statement again and see if one is clear. Speak it, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to react in anger when my mother asked me to wash the dishes. When it's comfortable, clear, here, and it's natural self-forgiveness as a release and a realization, then you know you're standing. Alright, so for those that walking process and can additionally assist and support themselves with this point, do so. I mean, in terms of obviously time and responsibilities, you can do your writing of your self-forgiveness one day, you can do then the speaking of it the next night, or find that time for you to assist and support yourself in applying this point of speaking self-forgiveness out loud to have it become more and more stable, natural, clear, and here as self. Initially, it'll be uncomfortable. It will be like learning how to drive a car, learning how to walk. It's going to be stumbly, it's going to be fumbly, it's going to be awkward, and it's fine. You're walking this process alone with yourself. I mean, come on, do this for you. Practice it, walk it, move with it, play with it. I mean, it's really awesome to get to know the inner workings of yourself through simply listening to yourself and going, okay, there's something out there, I missed something, I should look more into that. Okay, I see I'm not clear here, I'm not clear there. And even in walking your self-forgiveness out loud, you can then see if your self-forgiveness statements that you written out was obviously effective. So it's a cool double cross-reference for yourself to then at the same time, while walking self-forgiveness out loud and assisting you in that process, after you've written it, your writing self-forgiveness will start becoming more effective. And so eventually your writing and your sounding will start becoming equal in one, which from the greater total perspective of your process will start assisting and supporting in your actual physical, practical, directive living as you write yourself and sound yourself into correction. Thank you very much.